Hey, welcome to another new episode of the You Got the Ron Dude podcast. I'm your host, Ron Jammin. Thank you very much for tuning in. This episode is all going to be about my life as a gig worker, my personal experience, be breaking down the stats, the pros and the cons. So I hope you enjoy it. And it's great if you're thinking about becoming an independent contractor, if you're not sure about it, what it all entails and such. And I'd love to hear from you. If you're listening on anchor.fm, you can leave a voice message. Otherwise, leave a comment, rate and review, subscribe, follow, share, like, all that fun stuff. I appreciate it. Links to my stuff will be in the description on my social media and places you can listen to the podcast. So let's get right into it. So here's how it all started for me. Back in 2018. I'd signed up for Uber Eats, and 2018, I went through about 8-9 different jobs that year. It wasn't a good year. Trying to find a good fit. I worked as a delivery driver for, I won't say who, but a local company at the time. And there were a lot of issues with that. Not with the driving per se, that I liked, but I worked in a restaurant, and there were a lot of issues, and so I left that. And I did a little bit of Uber Eats because at first I was like, oh wow, I made like $15 in an hour. That's pretty good. And the area I delivered in was really nice, really upscale. I was renting a room in a house. And but for me, I was pretty lazy about it. The work whenever you want and that. So now I have different goals, which I'll get into later, daily goals and that. But when I first started out, I just wasn't really driven. And a little later, I'll talk about what helped that. It was something actually during the pandemic. But basically, there weren't a lot of opportunities in the area, so you had to drive pretty far out to other areas. But signing up for it, Uber Eats, was really easy for me. I think I'd started like that day. The requirements for gig apps are pretty simple. You have a vehicle, you have a pulse, driver's license, insurance, and like nothing extreme, nothing out of the ordinary. And in 2019, like over the summer, I worked at a pizza place as a delivery driver because I wanted something more stable. When really I could have been out, I should have just gone out to those other places I talked about, like other cities, and done deliveries. But slowly you learn, like where to park, because some areas are dead zones, and my area at the time didn't have many opportunities. But you just got to get out there. And the pizza place, just like the restaurants, didn't work out, unfortunately. No breaks. There were a lot of staffing issues. And I quit just, months before the pandemic. And I'm glad because, again, I'll talk more about that. But companies just haven't worked out for me, like working in places. But Uber Eats I went back to after that. And yeah, I was more focused, more driven, because I was like, I don't really like working with other people. I've never had much luck with friends and even coworkers and that. But yeah, so Uber Eats since November 2018, and that's been good over the years. Now, DoorDash, on the other hand, the sign-up process was easy, but my background check, it took like over a year or two for them to finally reach out to me and activate my account. And I didn't realize they're pretty much everywhere. I thought Uber Eats was good, but DoorDash, I was blown away. The shopping trips and that, at least here where I live, Uber Eats, I would get maybe a quarter of the orders I'd get on DoorDash. So with DoorDash, I know some places, it's all about the demand, the need for drivers. So that was probably why. But still, I mean, I waited so long to hear from them. And I think it was February of last year. They said, "Are you ready to dash?" It's like, no, I'm going to need another year or two. So yeah, with DoorDash, I started sometime mid last year, 2022. And, but full-time, I've mostly been doing Spark delivery for Walmart since May of 2021. So coming up on 2 years. And, you know, the Spark app, there are a lot of issues with check-in, orders being canceled, but it's not displayed amongst all the devices. Like, all of our systems don't really talk. There can be long wait times. The metrics don't seem to matter much. But I love the work. And the pay, it can be good. I mean, I work pretty much like, 12-hour days, I'm gone. But it's worth it. Because DoorDash and Uber Eats, I just don't really like that stuff for some reason. Or I just prefer Spark. But DoorDash and Uber Eats, it's great if you need like same day pay. So you have rent coming up and you're like, oh, I'm $50 short. Spark, I don't get paid. They pay every Tuesday. But the way the branch app works, it goes into the branch app. You can do it instant, but there's a fee, or free, and it'll take a day or 3 or 5 to go into your bank account. But, yeah, it's interesting because, if Spark, for some reason, if it goes away or whatever, like, I'm fine doing DoorDash. I definitely prefer that over Uber Eats just because of the more opportunities. And with Spark, I mean, you also have Home Depot, Advanced Auto Parts, Sam's Club. And I have 2 stores in my area, 2 Walmarts I deliver for. And it can be really great. It's just like I talked about earlier. It's working out all the kinks, figuring out all the tricks. I make videos. I have a YouTube channel dedicated to Spark delivery, helping out other drivers. Because there are just so many issues in that, but it's easy to get around them. And yeah, the Spark, I moved here about 2 years ago from Washington State. I didn't even know about Spark. And here, again, I was going through some jobs and that, things not working out, long wait periods and that. And one day, I think it was on Indeed, and it said like Walmart delivery driver. I'm thinking like, oh great, I was actually sitting in the Walmart's parking lot, probably eating lunch or something. I signed up, and I think that day, just like Uber Eats, I started driving. You just submit your information. The way it works is DDI, Delivery Drivers Inc., they're basically your employer. And then Spark is a program. It's the app for Walmart deliveries and all that, and Sam's and Home Depot and stuff. But if you look at your taxes, a portion of our pay does come from Walmart. So that's interesting. But independent contractor, and with all these gigs, you do use your own vehicle. And that's nice because, my dad was a trucker, and at some places you had to share vehicles and that. And you'd go in, there'd just be a bunch of garbage and stink up the place. And, over time, I mean, people just ruin everything over time. Like when I worked at the pizza place, we drove our own vehicles. Because people just effed up everything for everyone, for the future. Because companies are like, we're not going to provide you vehicles or anything. And the nice thing about the pizza place and the restaurant I worked at, mileage reimbursement. That I do miss. But that was the only thing. Because you had to wear the topper on your car. But benefit of doing Uber Eats, DoorDash, Spark, even Amazon, what is that called? Flex. You don't have to deck out your car with company logos or anything, because I say that just because you don't want anybody following you. Because they follow you, you get out of your car, you're dropping off a package, and then you come back and your car's gone. It's like, uh-oh. So how they get you is be your own boss, work whenever you want. I know with Amazon Flex, you work in blocks. I haven't worked that in a few years, so they may have changed it. But basically, you'd go through and you'd select like a work schedule. So like 6 to 10, and you get paid, say, $60. Now, that's not work when you want, but you get to choose. Maybe you're like, well, I just want the week off, and you don't work at all. You're not going to get fired or anything. But again, with Amazon Flex, it's more like, well, choose your own schedule, but it's kind of like, well, choose from these hours. But it's still a great opportunity because you can see how much you can make. Whereas with DoorDash, you can't always work. Uber Eats, I've been able to turn on at any time, day or night. DoorDash, it'll be like, we'll let you know when it gets busy, and you can schedule a time to start. Spark Delivery, here it starts as early as 5 a.m. We're in Mountain Time, and it goes till 10 p.m. So that's a good range. So you work a 12-hour day, but be your own boss. I would argue against that. Now, there are no meetings. You don't report to anyone. No conferences. The updates let you know what's going on with these apps, what's changed. And it's pretty simple to navigate. I mean, everything has to fit on your phone screen. And so it's nice. And I mean, we don't really even need meetings or anything. You're an independent contractor. It's great if people, other gig workers meet up and their friends and stuff. But otherwise, it's good if you like working by yourself. You stop when you want to, go home. No boss yelling at you. Your metrics are displayed, so you know what's going on. With Spark Delivery, however, we don't get actual feedback. So if a customer rates me like 4 out of 5 stars, that means something went wrong. Because why would you dock that 1 star? And we don't get reviews. So what if you're making the same mistake over and over, but you don't know? You're unaware. Your metrics just keep dropping. So it'd be nice if customers could leave that kind of information if we could see it. Because as an independent contractor, be your own boss, it's like, well, I want all the analytics. YouTube has far better analytics. And, but with DoorDash, Uber Eats, you get customer reviews, which I like. And with Amazon Flex, I don't remember. I don't think so. But yeah, so the be your own boss thing, I mean, you don't really set anything in place like, oh, I want this much per hour, or be your own boss. It's independent contractor. I'd cross out the be your own boss. It's just like you work when you want, because, you don't really set any rules or anything. Well, another benefit of the gig worker apps are the incentive programs. Now, I haven't done many for Uber Eats or DoorDash, but sometimes you'll get like boost areas. So you'll earn like an extra $1 or however much per delivery, which is pretty cool. And I know with Spark Delivery, ones I like where you do a certain number of trips. So you do like 15 trips to earn an additional, say, $45, 18 for 54, something like that. And yeah, some of those pay pretty well, and hopefully they're worth your time, so you're not like burning more fuel and then basically just getting gas money back. But keep in mind, and it also depends on where you live, you're pretty much working for tips. When I moved here a couple years ago, like Uber Eats I started doing, and the base pay was $2. Back home it was about $5 or $6. And the economy here is about the same. Because I was told everything's going to be a lot cheaper, and like, nope, not at all. Nothing. Even gas is more expensive. So that's another reason I do prefer the Spark delivery. Because recently the wages went from $7 for one order to $6.50, and then the $9 for two orders down to $8.50. So you just work longer hours than that. And that's good because, with Uber Eats, it could take a while just to generate what I would make in a couple hours doing Spark. And even DoorDash, the base pay here is also $2, which doesn't help. And especially if you're delivering a small meal, don't expect a big tip. Unless they're in a great mood or something. But, again, with this Spark delivery with Walmart, that's why I like delivering groceries, because you're likely to get bigger tips when you do get tips, if that makes sense. And, people call it, grinding, hustling. Me, I'm just like, just stay out all day and have your goal, and then you want to earn more than that. Like with me, it used to be $100 a day. Now you try and get to $200, because I'll go through at least, a quarter or half a tank of gas per day. But it's worth it when you're making bank. And again, it all depends on your area. Because I've read reviews, comments about people having like 6 Walmarts in their zone. And I wouldn't be able to survive. I'd be living out of my car. Because you'd be just burning through fuel every day. And occasionally they'll have some like perks, discounts. I know with Uber Eats, I don't know if they still do it, but at least during the pandemic, I'd say something like, you can get a free coffee or a free treat or something. DoorDash, I'm not sure. Spark Delivery, the app we use to get paid called Branch, they'll have some like online discounts, a bunch of services I've never heard of. One time they had some stuff for like Little Caesars, you get cash back. And that's cool because that goes right into your Branch account. So right back in. But what about gas stations? Compete with Upside. That'd be nice. But just don't expect a lot. But every now and then you're like, oh, that's cool. We get a discount on something. So a big benefit of being an independent contractor, I was able to work through the pandemic. When everything was going down and, lockdown, I was really worried because at that time, as you remember, there was the George Floyd incident. Where I lived, the smoke from the California fires just surrounded us. And then, of course, the COVID-19. I was like, this might be it. Because if I can't work, if we can't work. But, yes, so I just, I did what I did. I'm not going to tell people, like, what they should do in that. Because everyone, you do what's best for you. But I kind of teased this earlier. One benefit, I don't want to say like a positive of the pandemic, but in the area I was working Uber Eats in, a lot of the restaurants started offering delivery for us gig workers, which was awesome. Like DoorDash and Uber Eats, because there were some places that didn't offer that. So I was kind of stuck in that little area, and I was like, what do I do? And I just started getting more offers, which was great. And, if you're sick, nice thing is you don't call in, you don't call out of work or anything. You just stay home and get yourself better, take care of yourself. And if you're out, I've had days where I've had like really bad headaches. So I'll just go home, turn off the work app, and that's definitely a plus. Because nobody has to really fill in for you, because you figure there are always other drivers out there. But it is nice. You don't get docked or anything because, you're not obligated to work necessarily. And unless all the apps turn to like schedule based, like Amazon Flex and that could be a problem. But yeah, it's nice. Not feeling well, just go home, chill for a while, take some medicine, aspirin, whatever, and then head back out later. Well, I can tell you, I've never had a negative interaction with a customer doing, the gig working. And that's a big plus. The last time I had a negative interaction when I was delivering pizza for, one of the big pizza places. And the customer's like, you guys are late. I'm thinking like, well, it's just me. Just say you're late. But the problem is, that was another issue working there, is when we're short on drivers, the manager would send people home right before 5 o'clock. Like right before dinner hour. And I'm thinking like, are you out of your effing mind? What are you thinking? But anyways, orders would be late all the time. And I learned something working there, because they would send late orders out to like Uber Eats and DoorDash. And I was like, but they don't know it's late. So then they'll get docked and pay, like they'll remove a tip or something. Or the customer will be like, hey, what took so long? And they're like, hey, I'm just a third-party delivery service. So that I don't like. But other than that, I haven't had a lot of interaction with customers, but people, for the most part, when I do talk to them, they're so thankful. And some people chat it up, which is great. But no one upset or anything. And even when like an order's been late or something, people seem to be understanding in that, because you're dropping off stuff that they want. You're not going door to door selling stuff. You're not trying to get them to sign up for anything. So it's positive, but just keep your cool. And somebody gives you crap or anything, stand up for yourself, but you just be nice in that. Odds are they're having a bad day or something, and later on they'll be like, they'll reach out like, I'm sorry. They'll try and contact, support or something, but so 100%, that's pretty good. Another benefit is when there's high demand for orders, I think across all services that I've used, the Uber Eats, DoorDash, Spark, you can get higher offer earnings. And that's a big plus. Like this morning, I had these 2 drop-offs. Normally you get like $8.50 base, but it was around $17 because not enough drivers out or no one's available. And that's why I say like stay out all day, because you'll get some pretty lowball offers, but then sometimes you'll be like, oh wow, I just made like a quarter of my pay or a third of my pay with one trip. That's awesome. And I just stay out all day, work 12 hours. And I'll tell you, with me, I wake up at 5 every morning, and when I do the Spark delivery, sometimes you'll get offers around 6, like for Sam's Club, but for Walmart they don't start until around 7. But anyways, so from like 5 to 7 I'll get ready. I'll have time to like play a video game or write something, and that way 12 hours after that, when you get home, you got like several hours still. So I just stay out and just make that bank. Work every day. Take a day off occasionally if you really need to, but otherwise, it's nice. Like, I'm never sore after work. I can be exhausted, but yeah, just stay out and make that bank. Dropping off orders, whether it's a meal or groceries, it's simple. When the pandemic started, there's a no contact delivery, which I like. And, when that whole thing started, of course, some customers were like, meet me at the door or something, or hand the order directly to me. And we just masked up, and, I was wearing gloves in that at the time. But point being, drop off is easy. You just take a photo, knock, ring the bell, whatever you have to do, and that's it. Because some people wait for the customer, which is nice, but also they ordered it and they know the drop-off time, the window, and but just use your best judgment. And another reason I like the Spark delivery is because they bring the orders out to you. Now, when I first started, and it still says you go into the store to collect express orders, that's not the case. You just wait in your vehicle. You check in. Now, again, there are check-in issues, but the best thing to do is just call the store just to make sure. That way they can check you in if you're not showing up. But I think that might be the biggest reason I prefer this over DoorDash and Uber Eats, because I don't mind going through drive-through and that, but just since the pandemic and that, like, you don't want to go in places as much. But that's just me. But anyways, it's not a big factor or anything. So one issue I have, and I'm sure other drivers would share this equally, is gear, like clothing, bags, food bags, pizza bags, and such. Not so much uniforms, because it's up to you if you want to buy a shirt, with Uber Eats, DoorDash, Spark, Amazon, whatever on it. But stuff for food specifically, we shouldn't be charged for that. I think with Grubhub, because I got like 3 bags from them, I don't think they charged me for those. But some apparel and that, it's kind of like, well, why would we spend money on this? Like, maybe if you're a new driver, you get like a free hat or a free shirt or something. But I mean, nice thing is the gear, I don't think any of it's really required. I should mention, I signed up for like Postmates and Grubhub as well. I delivered for those. I totally forgot about that. But they were required by DoorDash and Uber Eats, I believe. So when I do Uber Eats, I'll get orders from Postmates. So kind of one and the same. But let me know what you think. And with Spark specifically, that's the Walmart, Home Depot, Advanced Auto Parts, Sam's Club. Recently, they inquired about more details about your vehicle, specifically the size. Because the more room you have, the bigger offers or orders you can get. And sometimes an extra large order, you can get more pay. I've experienced that very few times. It'd be like if you have cases of water, kitty litter, other pet food and such, when you're talking maybe, 100 pounds plus total. So I'm in a mid-sized vehicle right now, and I'm thinking of getting a minivan pretty soon. I was thinking about one of those Sprinter vans, but that's just, I think a minivan will be okay. I don't need anything like tall, really. I just need some little more space in that to work with. And this seems like not out of the ordinary, not out of the question, but I'm wondering one day if customers, they can request a driver. And you could argue, well, we're probably, picking up, dropping off another order. True, but as long as they can request it, maybe they don't even mind waiting. Like, as soon as they're done with this delivery, if they can get my stuff, because they trust you, you follow notes, you follow instructions, your attitude is positive, and whatever it is, and I mean across all platforms, except for Amazon Flex, because that, you're delivering to so many people in that, but yeah, this is something I've thought about for a while. And I think it'd be a good option and good motivation for people, because if you have that customer and they get you every time, and let's say they tip $10 every time, like, that's good motivation. Like me, just, work every day. And we'll see if this is something that comes to fruition. Maybe they'll test it out in certain areas. I don't know. But again, of course, you might be busy picking up and dropping off an order, but it's one after the other, like DoorDash, Uber Eats, and all that. It's kind of like, they're not going to be waiting long. And yes, tip baiting is a thing. I don't encounter it very often, thankfully. But at least with DoorDash and Uber Eats, customers can leave a review. So that way you know if something went wrong, why they remove the entire tip. Because typically, like, you'd remove part of the tip if something wasn't to your satisfaction. It's when they remove the entire thing, you're like, wait, what's going on? Was it my fault? Was something already broken when it was delivered? What's happening? And people get blacklisted. I don't do that, but I'm aware of some people, they just don't tip. So it's kind of like a lose-lose with this job. I mean, you just go out every day, all day, and make what you can with the base wages. But it is unfortunate, and I hate saying this, but it's dangerous. Tip baiting, people are dropping off stuff at your house. Be smart. Don't tip bait. But also, like I said, with Spark Delivery, we don't get communication if something went wrong. Because you'd hope, I don't know how else to say it, you'd hope something went wrong with the delivery rather than the person just tip baiting. So they'll put out $10, you drop off their order, and they remove the tip. Now with DoorDash, you get the tips right after drop off, which I like. Because if something does go wrong, next time they order, they're likely gonna reduce the tip. Or if another driver messes up, But it's something to be wary about, but just do your best, use your best judgment, follow notes and instructions. That's a big one too. Because maybe it said don't knock or ring bell, and you're like, oh, I did both of those. Oops. Then I wouldn't call it tip baiting. You just didn't follow instructions. And ever since the independent contractor delivery services started, some people go on strike, or they'll just complain. We want to be employees, treat us fairly. And I say, you know what you're signing up for, unless you didn't read anything. If you listen to other segments of this podcast, I talk about the pros and cons. If you like working by yourself, you set your own schedule, work when you want, and that's a plus. Employees, then we're going to be working shifts that are out of our control, out of our say. Not the worst thing. I mean, I've worked retail, warehousing, restaurant, all that stuff my whole life until this. So I'm very used to that. But with this, there are perks. So if you want to be an employee, go work at a local pizza place and deliver for them. Because you won't just be doing deliveries. You'll be working in the store, helping out with everything and keeping busy. And as far as wages and taxes and all that stuff, I mean, you can write off gas, some of it, any repairs, anything for your vehicle, any equipment that you've bought, research that for your taxes. But I'd argue if you want to be an employee, I mean, there are plenty of delivery jobs that you can work for companies, not independent. And yeah, the wages, I mean, doing this, it is like working at a restaurant if you're making a really low wage and you're working for tips. But at least you can work. You're not going to be sent home early. I'll work a 12-hour day, no problem. Nobody's sending me home. And the nice thing is, with Walmart, I live in what's called a small town, but it's not really. There are plenty of chains in that, Walmart included. But the point is, the surrounding cities, they don't have any chains. They are legitimately small towns. So there's offers pretty much every hour. If you do this, if you do Uber Eats, DoorDash, whatever. But I'm curious, though, because I'm sure there's stuff I'm not thinking of. What do you think? If you're for being an employee of, Spark or a food delivery service, let me know why. I'd like to hear from you. What would be the advantages? What's not working for you? What's not fair? If you're listening on Anchor, you can leave a voice message. Otherwise, hit me up on socials, leave a comment. And remember, since you are using your own vehicle, you don't really have to worry about it with DoorDash, Uber Eats, and that, even Amazon Flex, you load your own packages. With the Walmart deliveries, though, if somebody gets an attitude or they just start loading things and you're kind of like, well, let me position this here, that there. And because we are independent contractors, we don't work for the store, technically. And I know some drivers have an issue with this, but just be nice. Be cool. Just let them know, see, I don't want the bread to be smashed. Because some people just throw stuff in your vehicle, and it's like, no. And so it's important for them to know it's our vehicle we're using, and we're going to load it how we want to. And there's been an issue at one of the Walmarts I deliver for. I guess one driver was getting an attitude with people, saying like, don't touch my car. And just being kind of weird about it. Because I can understand, but they've kind of ruined it for everybody. Because every time I go there, I'll ask if I can help. And as long as the manager's not there, it's okay. But it's like, at the same time, they're trying to get rid of this driver. They've reported them to Spark Support. I guess they haven't done anything. They probably have good metrics. That's what's keeping them there. But that I could argue both ways, because it's like, well, it's their vehicle, but at the same time, they shouldn't have an attitude about it. And I guess they mixed up orders, because he'll put one like in the trunk, another one in the back seats, and they were bad about placing stickers and that. So that just kind of ruins it for everybody. One bad seed. Well, that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you're listening on Anchor, you can leave a voice message. Otherwise, leave a comment. I'll have links to my socials and other places the podcast is available, so check those out. And I hope this was helpful. If you're thinking about becoming a gig worker, if you are one, if you had questions about something, let me know if there's anything I didn't cover that you want me to. I can always make a follow-up episode. I'd be happy to. And so overall, it's like, if you like working by yourself, setting your own hours, and the app is basically your office, so it's nice. And here, like I said earlier, it's called a small town, but places, we've had so many places open over the last couple of years, and so many chains and stuff, so it's always busy, which is good. And I know that they cycle through drivers a lot. The turnover rate is pretty high, but just stay positive, do your best, don't be afraid to ask questions, contact support, and that way you're not messing up on something that was easily fixable, or just use your best judgment. If you are a Spark delivery driver, I'll have a link to my Ronnie Sparks channel on YouTube. That's all about Spark delivery. Helps you with stuff like that. But otherwise, thanks again for listening. Subscribe, follow, share, like, rate, review, all that fun stuff. And I will see you next time. I still don't have a good outro. You got the Ron Dude? There we go.